This is the second video, hopefully short, that I wanted to put together that talked a little bit about the cost of surveys, boundary surveying in particular. In the first video I talked about if you could do a boundary survey for a few $100s. So in this video I want to talk about a related question, which is can you freshen up, in air quotes, a boundary survey for a few $100s? Can you update a boundary survey for a few $100s? It's kind of a related question. We get asked that a lot, especially on land title surveys. Somebody will call a lender or a title company or a broker will call and ask us to update a survey that we did a few months ago, and they'll want an update for a few $100s. We don't do that. So I want to answer that question. Why can't we freshen up a survey? Why can't we update a boundary survey for a few $100s? I want to try and answer that question in this video. And there's three main reasons why we can't do that, why it's a bad idea. And if you've got a surveyor that's doing that, I think you're taking some unnecessary risk and probably wasting your money on the update. So I want to talk about why that is. And one recurring theme that you're going to find in these videos is, you really need to build a relationship with a land surveyor that you trust if you're in the real estate industry, because there's a lot of surveyors that do crummy work. And if you're out there choosing your surveyor based on the lowest price, you're going to get people that really aren't looking out for your interests. And this is an example of where that can happen. So why can't you freshen up a survey for a few $100s? I wanted to write down the three reasons so I didn't forget, so you may see me glance over. So the three basic reasons are changes that can happen on the ground, changes that can happen in the record, what the surveyor calls the record, and then the statutory period for unwritten rights. So I want to talk about all three of those things briefly. So the first is changes in the ground. So let's just say I get a call. I surveyed a property, let's say 10 years ago. I surveyed a property and the owner calls up and says, hey, I'm going to refinance my construction loan, or I'm going to sell. I've developed the property now. I'm going to sell. Can you just come in, Landon, and freshen up the survey that you did for me 10 years ago? What are some things that could have changed on the ground that don't make that possible? So I have a list here that I'm going to just briefly share with you. So here's some things that could change on the ground. And these changes could occur either on what we call the subject parcel or on one of the parcels next door, what we call the adjoiner parcels. So in either of those cases, these things could cause potential liability for me and problems for the client. So site improvements. So when I talk about site improvements and things that have been done to the site that aren't related to buildings. So new sidewalks, new landscaping, that kind of thing. New structures or modified structures. New monuments that have been set either by a survey of the subject parcel or a survey of the adjoining parcel. Unauthorized use that may have occurred in the time since it was last surveyed. So unauthorized use means people that are walking over the parcel or driving over the parcel, or utilities that have been put in on the parcel without the proper easement. Abandonment of use. So maybe there was some unauthorized use that is stopped because a fence was put up or a gate was locked, or maybe there was unauthorized use related to utilities that has stopped. Maybe there was authorized uses that have stopped. So, there was a legitimate access easement and it's no longer being used because alternate access is being provided. So I need to know about all those things. Maybe there was changes to the right of way. So the county or city has come in and realigned a road or widened a street. So all of those, that's not an exhaustive list, but all of those are things that can happen on a property, either the subject parcel or an adjoiner, that are going to require some new surveying to be done. So the second reason we can't freshen up a boundary survey for a few $100s has to do with changes in the record. And when I say the record, what surveyors say when they mean the record, those are essentially legal changes that happen on paper. Okay, so they have to do with a lot of times with the paper title to the land. So those are things those things could include new deeds that have been filed. So if properties have been bought and sold, either the subject parcel or the adjoining parcels, that can have an impact on the survey. New survey maps that have recorded or been filed either on the subject parcel or on the adjoining parcels, including subdivision maps. So if they've done a subdivision next door to the subject parcel, that surveyor's probably set some monuments and resolved some boundaries. I need to see how that impacted the potential boundary resolution that I showed on the original version of the survey that I did. New easements could have been granted either over the subject parcel, benefiting the subject parcel, or on an adjoining parcel that I need to look at. There could have been changes to the title docs, updated title report. Every time a title company updates a title report, if I'm doing a land title survey, I have to go back through that title report word for word. Could be changes to the tax assessor maps. I always want to look at those. They could reveal potential problems. So that's the second reason, all those things, what we call changes in the record. The third reason has to do with the statutory period for unwritten rights. So in most places in the United States, if somebody uses your property for long enough without permission and they meet certain criteria, they can get what we call unwritten rights. So there's squatter's rights or adverse possession, where they actually obtain title, fee title, or actual ownership of the land. And then there's something called prescriptive rights, where they get basically a judge gives them a right to use your property for a specific reason because they've been doing that for a long enough period of time. In most states, there is a statutory requirement that you make that unauthorized use of somebody's property for a certain period of time. That is shorter than most people realize. So for example, in California, the statutory period to acquire unwritten rights is only 5 years. What that means for me as a surveyor is, if you call me up and I haven't surveyed that property in the last 5 years, I've got to go back out, because there could be unauthorized use of your property that's happened in 5 years and I don't know about it. And if I don't disclose that on a land title survey, I can be in a lot of trouble. And even if I'm not doing a land title survey, I want to know about that unauthorized use so I can inform you as the client, and you can take the steps you need to take to rectify or cure that situation. So those are the three reasons why you can't freshen up a survey for a few $100s. And I would say, obviously the longer it's been since I last did the survey, the more expensive an update's going to be. But I'll just give you an example. I did a survey for some property in Menlo Park in the Bay Area of California. And I did the original survey, and it was about $60,000. And they called 6 months later for an update. And I charged them another $20,000 to update those surveys because of the value of the property. They were $600 million properties. So over $500 million, and it'd been 6 months, and I needed to make sure that there hadn't been any changes. So I, as a general rule, will not update a survey without at least another site visit. There might be some exceptions to that rule, but that's a general rule. And I think most other surveyors that are trying to do a good job protect themselves from liability and protect their clients from potential problems are going to be the same way. So if somebody's going to update a survey for you for a few $100s, you need to think very seriously before you spend that money, because I would argue you're better off just keeping that money and not wasting it, because what you really need is a good update, and that's probably going to be more than a few $100s. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and I hope you catch the other videos I want to do about why boundary surveys cost what they cost, why surveyors charge what they do. So thanks for watching.